What's up, everybody, and welcome back. So this episode's gonna be a little bit different. I don't actually know if what I'm gonna say is 100% or if it's not true, because this is just a biblical theory, and I have watched a few videos and researched a little bit and have not seen anybody explain it. It just makes sense. And I don't think that saying God can't teleport people is right, because why would you put God in a box? God has no limits. I believe that God can do anything that he wants because he's God. So I think teleportation is very possible with God. And so I'm just going to read a few stories, and I mean, if you have any knowledge that I don't know about or anything, just let me know in the comments or something, because I don't know. It's just what it sounds like. So let me read. All right, so this is going to be John chapter 6, and I'm going to begin in verse 14. So it says, "When the people saw him do this miraculous sign, they exclaimed, 'Surely he is the prophet we have been expecting.'" Okay, so this is after Jesus feeds the 5,000, right? "When Jesus saw that they were ready to force him to be their king, he slipped away into the hills by himself." The hills, also the mountains, right? So Jesus does not want to be their king because they're trying to force Jesus to be their king. He's like, nah. So he runs away. So he runs away into these mountains. Other versions say he goes to pray, but this one does not. And then it goes on to say that evening, Jesus' disciples went down to the shore to wait for him, because he's still in the mountains, in the hills, right? And but as darkness fell, so it became nighttime, and Jesus still hadn't come back, they got into the boat and headed across the lake towards Capernaum. So they were waiting for Jesus to get on the boat, but he never came back. So it's nighttime, we got to go. So they went across the lake. Soon a gale swept down upon them, and the sea grew very rough. So a storm came upon them while they're still on their boat in the lake. They had rowed 3 or 4 miles, so 3 or 4 miles out from the land that they had left, right? When suddenly they saw Jesus walking on the water towards the boat. They were terrified, but he called out to them, "Don't be afraid, I am here." So Jesus was just in the mountains. And if you imagine there's a lake in front of them, and there's mountains behind him or to the side, right? So he ran away into the mountains that way, right? Like backwards or something. And they went the other way into the lake, and they're 3 or 4 miles out. How did Jesus walk all the way into the mountains and then walk all the way, all this, at least 3 or 4 miles from land, but then he was also in the mountains. So however far away he was from the land into the mountains, that could be like 10 miles, who knows? And then he just randomly appears in the middle of the water. What was he doing there? But he's 100% God, 100% man, so he can do what he wants. If he teleported, then it just makes the most sense, because he's God. I don't know, he can do what he wants. I don't know how else you would prove that situation. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, and then, so what happens next is kind of funny. So in verse 22, it says, "The next day the crowd that had stayed on the far shore saw that the disciples had taken the only boat, and they realized Jesus had not gone with them." So they realized Jesus had not gone on this boat. So there's no excuse that Jesus was maybe on the boat or something, and it just got worded wrong. Like, no, he wasn't on the boat. He just appeared. And then it says they found him on the other side of the lake and asked, "Rabbi, when did you get here?" Because you were just in the mountains. And also there was this, in verse 21, I forgot to read this. It says, "Then they were eager to let him in the boat." So this is when Jesus was on the water. They were eager to let him in the boat, like, "Come on, get in, it's storming." And immediately they arrived at their destination. So as soon as he gets in the boat, they immediately arrive at their destination. So did he teleport there and then teleport the boat to the land? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. And apparently that's what it sounds like to a lot of people. And I haven't heard anybody debunk this theory. So I don't know. I'm not saying it's 100% correct, but it's just interesting. And even the people who stayed behind were like, "How did you get here? Like, when did you get here?" See, that's just one of them. And then there's Acts chapter 8, verses 26 through 40, and this is with Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch. So let's see. Verse 26, as for Philip, an angel of the Lord said to him, go south down the desert road that runs from Jerusalem to Gaza. So Gaza's a desert, right? So he started out and he met the treasurer of Ethiopia, blah, blah, blah. He was this eunuch and he was reading the book of Isaiah, right? So this guy, this eunuch, is basically the CFO, like the chief financial officer, under some person named Kandake. And he was a Gentile, so he was not a Jew, right? He's Ethiopian. And he's reading Isaiah. And let's see, then Philip offers to help him understand what he's reading because this guy's confused as to what this means. He's like, all right, read to me what you're reading. And he's reading Isaiah 53, which says, he was led like a sheep to the slaughter, and as a lamb is silent before the shearers, he did not open his mouth. He was humiliated and received no justice. Who can speak of his descendants? For his life was taken from earth. This is clearly talking about Jesus before, Isaiah was prophesying about Jesus before he came. And the eunuch's like, so who is this about? And Philip's like, this is about Jesus. And the eunuch's like, all right, cool, I believe you. And so they're riding through the desert. And as they're riding through the desert, they see water, right? And the eunuch's like, stop this chariot. Tell the horses to hold up. I want to get baptized. Philip, can you baptize me? He's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So they get out, and Philip baptizes him. And it says, when they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord snatched Philip away. The eunuch never saw him again, but went on his way rejoicing. Remember, they're in the desert, and there's just a little bit of water. He baptized him, and as soon as the eunuch comes up out of the water, Philip's gone. Where did Philip go? It says that the Spirit of the Lord snatched Philip away. And you might be like, okay, well, does it say where Philip went? Yes, it does. It says, let's see. Meanwhile, Philip found himself farther north at the town of Azotus. He preached the good news there and in every town along the way until he came to Caesarea. So this town, Azotus, is 30 to 35 miles away from Gaza, this desert that they were in. He did not walk that far in a matter of seconds. So I don't know how else you'd explain this. I mean, if God can rapture Enoch and Elijah, then what makes you say he can't teleport people? I don't know. You got to be open-minded about this stuff. It's really cool. I mean, I believe he definitely can do this. But I'm just not 100% certain that he did. If you know anything that I don't know, let me know. But it's really cool. And then there's also when Satan was trying to tempt Jesus, right, in the wilderness, and then immediately they go to the temple, and then immediately from there they go to the highest of mountains, right? And it's like, how did they do this all of a sudden? Were they teleporting too? I don't know. Was it physically? Because if it was physically, they had to be teleporting. And if it was spiritually, then that's different. But I don't know. Because these stories can't be spiritually. They're literally physically. I mean, maybe they are spiritual. I don't know. If you know something that I don't know, just let me know. Because I'm not saying this is for sure. I'm curious. But I think it's really cool. So yeah, maybe teleportation is actually mentioned in the Bible without directly saying it. We may never know, though. We may never understand what this is. But I mean, we weren't really supposed to know anything from the beginning. It's just whenever Adam and Eve decided to eat the fruit that we got all this knowledge that we're not even supposed to have. So maybe we're not really supposed to dig too deep into this stuff, but it's an interesting theory. I don't know. Let me know what you think. That's all I've got for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.